Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. On this week's program, we continue our coverage from the Risk Profit Conference, which took place at Kansas State University. With technology continuing to evolve on the farm, we do a little myth busting with K-State Ag economist Terry Griffin. We also have features from Kansas Corn, Kansas Wheat, and the Kansas Farm Bureau, and our weekly updates from the Kansas Livestock Association and Paragon Ag Advisors.
Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers. Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots ag organization representing the state's farm and ranch families since 1919, kfb.org. And the Kansas Wheat Commission, lending in the adoption of profitable innovations from wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
In agricultural news from agview.net, water technology farms are an action item of the long-term vision for the future of the water supply in Kansas and help address Kansas water issues. And the Kansas Water Office program began 4 years ago with 3 farms. Currently, there are 15 farms on more than 40 fields throughout the state, but concentrated overlying the High Plains Aquifer. The Water Office now plans to add a limited number of new technology farms, currently accepting initial notices of interest for the 2020 growing season. The deadline for initial interest is November the 15th. These 3-year pilot public-private partnerships demonstrate irrigation technology, research, and management techniques. They've been valuable in expanding the conversation and education of producers and decision makers on water conservation in areas overlying the depleting Ogallala Aquifer and water quality protection in the Equus Bed Aquifer region. Water technology farms are eligible statewide, and farms in a water conservation area or a local enhanced management area, as well as other documented conservation programs, will be prioritized for consideration. Access to land as well as data records are required to be part of the effort. Visit kwo.ks.gov to learn more. A market research study claims the plant-based protein market will be worth an estimated $40 billion by 2025. The report says the sector driven by the rising demand for so-called plant-based meat and healthy food products. Currently, the plant-based protein market estimated at $18.5 billion. The $40 billion projection represents a 14% growth rate. A significant increase in the usage of peas as a key ingredient is being noticed in the plant-based industry. The pea segment is projected to be the fastest growing in the plant-based protein market using the forecast period. Pea protein gaining popularity among plant-based protein manufacturers at a global level, owing its high protein content and health benefits, offers such to reduce the cholesterol and lower your blood pressure. And China recently been buying a whole lot of meat. The Wall Street Journal reports that their recent purchases pushing up the price of beef, pork, and poultry around the globe. Meat buyers are increasing their activity after African swine fever hit that country hard and reduced the size of the world's largest pig herd by more than a third. Many American meat companies have watched as the European and South American competitors have raced each other to supply China's pork needs. It's Ag News. We'll have more coming up.
Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by the Kansas Livestock Association, supporting members' business interests and meeting consumer demands. KLA.org. Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. And Kansas Corn, building the future at kansascorn.com.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know-to-Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and LibertyLink that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Well, joining us now, Terry Griffin. He's in the Economics Department at K-State and one of the presenters at the Risk Profit Conference. And you talked with farmers about, with all this new technology, maybe kind of playing mythbuster.
Yes. There were, essentially 5 myths that I wanted to address, and part of it goes back to helping farmers make a decision, the benefit cost. Is it worth it to them? And I tried to make the point that not everybody has all the technologies, so don't feel like you're being left out or getting behind if you don't have the whole list of all 10 or 15 technologies that are available, especially in the last few years with commodity prices being what they are, the 2019 weather issues, and there's a lot of other pressures that farmers are facing, and adding technologies, especially ones that require a bunch of human capital, may not make life better right now.
So as we talk about that, I did find it kind of interesting with the growing season the way it was. I saw some small tractors and 6-row planters.
There were, and we had a few farms who were having issues with GPS on their 48-row planters some days, and they couldn't get those things rolling, and that was causing added stress.
Is that kind of it when you go to the coffee shop or go to maybe meetings in the wintertime when we talk about all these different technologies and getting bigger? But Terry, what's happened is we have all this data. Have we kind of reached that point where we know exactly what all that data means? No,
we don't. And the true value of that data may not be what we expect. We ask the question, what is the value of this data at the farm level? Well, that's a very different question than asking what's the value of farm data in a community. We see lots of venture capital money chasing this idea, but it's in the community level, not at the farm level. And at the farm level, if a farmer asks me, what's the best rate of return on precision technology? I would say, let's think about this at one field at a time, and let's conduct some on-farm experiments, and if the technology allows us to put on different products or rates, and with yield monitors we can get yield data. That's probably the greatest use of the technology at the farm level, is testing new products or practices.
What are some of the other myths? I mean, farm size, cropping rotations, some of those things?
Well, another myth was variable rate is for all growers on all fields. And I tried to say, well, some farmers who are struggling with the basic farm activities such as planting on time may not want to invest in technologies that require added human capital. If they're already struggling with farming activities, then adding this technology will not make life better. It will probably go the other way.
Okay. We're talking with Terry Griffith, who is with the Ag Economics Department here at K-State. We're going to talk more about some of those myths coming up in just a moment.
The Kansas Ag Report brought to you in part by Kansas Grain Sorghum. Growers working together. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com. And agview.net, serving the Beef Belt and Western Corn Belt with reliable and relevant agriculture information. agview.net.
Imagine turning soybean oil, used cooking oils, and waste animal fats into fuel so amazing it drives U.S. jobs and our economy forward. Learn more about biodiesel at americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
And our guest this week, Terry Griffin, who is with K-State Ag Economics and one of the presenters at the recent Risk Profit Conference in Manhattan, and doing a lot of viewing some of those myths when it comes to technology adaptation. What else did you have?
We talked about farm data quality, in particular yield monitors, and we've always been told that we need to calibrate yield monitors, and that's true. The thing that I tried to bust with a myth was we do not need to clean yield monitor data after we collect it, which I'm a big believer in improving the data quality by flagging yield monitor data points that were measured when the combine was not able to make accurate measurements. When it's speeding up, slowing down, if you've ever played with a hydrostat on the combine, you'll see the numbers would change on the yield monitor. And it's those types of effects that we were talking about that we need to remove, especially if we're doing on-farm experiments or if we're wanting to participate in a farm data community systems.
Okay, and then I want to talk about also the reaction from farmers. Anything else that you were able to get to?
Yeah, the fourth myth was a lot of farmers said, you know what, this is stressful. I'm just going to walk away and go completely off the grid, which the fourth myth. Going off the grid is not sustainable long term. It may be a short-term solution for some folks, but ag technology, precision agriculture specifically, is not going away. Will become just plain old agriculture someday. We'll drop the precision.
Okay, so let's talk about reaction from the audience. Farmers receptive to what you said?
A lot of them agreed. I think I was trying to relieve some stress from a lot of farms are feeling FOMO, fear of missing out, from not having all the technology. So I showed them that not every farm in Kansas has everything. You know, even let's say variable rate fertility is less than 20% of farms are telling me that they're using that technology. And so I think I relieved some stress, or I hope to. That was my intent. They seem to be receptive to the message.
Do we find early adopters adopting all the technologies, or have they kind of taken one at a time?
The stats would suggest that if you have technology, chances are you have three, although having zero technologies is really common as well. I looked at farms that have 8. There's only a handful of farms in the state that have all 8 of the technologies I had on my list. If we look at the early adopters, they were a different set of farms. They were younger and been farming for less years. And speaking of ages, we evaluated this by generation. So in the media we hear about millennials, whether it's avocado on their toast, those types of issues. So we evaluated how baby boomers who were born after World War II differ from millennials who are essentially between 25 to 40 years old today. And there are differences between generations, and again, younger farms have more technology.
Interesting stuff. So I assume this will be, I think you and I talked about this a few years ago, so I think it'll be interesting in a couple more years to see where we are.
The database is alive. It's growing every 6 months. We get an update, and all of our results are on the Kansas State University Department of Ag Economics website, Ag Manager.
Agmanager.info.
It is. Yeah.
Great. Terry, I appreciate the update. Very interesting.
Thank you.
Terry Griffith with the Department of Ag Economics at K-State joining us. Stay with us. We'll have more coming up.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device. News and views on grains, livestock, policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News, a reliable and relevant source. agview.net.
Hi, I'm Emily Cope, and I work for the Kansas Corn Growers Association, and I'm the Eastern Kansas Representative and Market Development Coordinator. One of the other programs I work on are collegiate programs, and we are excited to begin offering again this year a lot of the programs that we did last year. One of those includes our Collegiate Academy, which is a group of about 6 to 8 students who really dive deep into the corn industry, and the whole goal is to open them up to different career opportunities in the corn industry. So we focus on things from ethanol to the livestock industry. They get to spend a day in Topeka learning about policy, as well as Washington, D.C. They spend a week there going to different sessions, meeting with industry. So they really get to see from the Corn Growers Association side what we do on the policy standpoint there. So that's Collegiate Academy. And then we also have a scholarship program, and this is open to all students in the state of Kansas to apply. And so we encourage students to apply for our $1,000 scholarship to really support their continuing education there. And then a few other programs that we have is we have a Career Connections program, and this is again to connect students who are in colleges all across the state of Kansas to different career opportunities in agriculture. So we feature a panel, normally about 2 to 3 industry professionals who are local in that area, and we want to bring them to your campus, whether it be in a classroom or a club or organization event. So we have a Career Connections event on campus at K-State. A few others scheduled for this year include Washburn Law School, as well as Pitt State University, and going out to Colby as well. So we'd love to get onto all campuses across the state of Kansas. So if you're interested, check out our website and learn more about a few of those events.
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Kansas Wheat sponsors several contests at the Kansas State Fair, including wheat photography, bread sculpting, and the Wheat Variety Plot 4-H Award. The 2019 Kansas 4-H Wheat Variety Plot Award winners were announced in the Showcase Building during the Kansas State Fair in Hutchinson. Participants plant and raise 5 varieties of wheat and then create an educational display to showcase their wheat production and accomplishments. This year's winner was Jacob Bell of Hugoton, with Maddie Nishpour of Ness City, Ryan Myers of Minneapolis, and Truman Hooker of Goodland rounding out the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th places, respectively. Participants' keen eyes for beauty were put on full display in the wheat photography contest. From the tiny miracles of newly emerged wheat to picturesque views of local elevators, these contestants documented the full reality of wheat's life cycle and made it beautiful art. This year's top winner was Scott Weimeyer of Cheney. The bread sculpture contest was another rounding success, with Wilma Olds of Wilson taking home the champion prize. Her creation featured a carousel crafted entirely out of bread and icing that even turned like its real-life inspiration. Kansas Wheat hosted a special tribute to the wheat industry in the Pride of Kansas building during the entirety of the Kansas State Fair. This year's booth celebrated the National Festival of Breads, which is sponsored biennially by Kansas Wheat Commission, King Arthur Flour, and Red Star Yeast.
Premier Farm and Home has what you need to make your lawn the best in the neighborhood.
Hi, I'm Ken. We choose Premier Farm and Home for the professional look that we do ourselves.
Feel free to stop in. You can also visit our website at heycow.com.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
I'm currently participating in the Leadership KFB. I'm part of Class 5. The experience so far has been amazing. I've thoroughly enjoyed everything we've done. We've tried to tour like around the state, so we see all different facets of Kansas agriculture, and then usually at each, so we do tours, and then at each stop we use some kind of professional leadership development. Some of the key things that I've taken away from the program so far is we did some strengths training to kind of recognize what's the best qualities that you bring forth, and if you know what those qualities are, you're going to be more useful to your organizations. You can be like, well, I should take on this project because I'm better at doing, X, Y, Z. So I really liked that. We talked about how to get to your point quickly and still maintain it in a conversational way, so that when you're talking to other people about agriculture or whatever your topic is that you're trying to be an advocate for, you can do it more effectively. Because if you can hold their attention, you're going to get more time with them, and you're going to be more effective in getting your point across. We've talked about how to better engage ourselves with consumers, with other agriculturalists, to really put our best foot forward and be the best voice for our industry that we can. I think it's very important for farmers to engage with consumers, because if we don't tell our story, nobody does. And that's something that's been said over and over again, but it's very, very true. Something that's been said multiple times in the last couple of days to us is that the people who show up are the ones that lead and that make the choices and everything. And so that's very important. So if we don't say anything, then other people are going to be putting words in our mouth, and it's not going to be a very real representation of Kansas and American agriculture. I think that this Leadership KFB, the program I'm in now, is a really, really good program. I've gotten so much from it, and you might not know it based on the snippets I've given you, but I think it has a lot of value, and I'd really like to see that grow.
Green sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
I'm Sarah, and this is my husband, Travis. We both grew up working on family ranches, me in Northern California and Travis in Kansas. We met in college, got married, and took corporate jobs in the beef industry. But soon we realized we missed the production side of the industry. So we made the daring move to start our own cattle business in southeast Kansas, while also starting our family. Watch our story and the stories of other young Kansas food producers at kansaslivingmagazine.com/meetafarmer.
What if sustainability were synonymous with U.S. soy? If energy efficiency, water quality, and soil health help define U.S. soy's value, that future is here, the time is now. To meet end-user demands, the Soybean Checkoff is committing to sustainability that's achievable, worthwhile, and enduring. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Environmental Protection Agency Administrator Andrew Wheeler and Department of the Army Assistant Secretary for Civil Works R.D. James announced the agencies have repealed the 2015 Obama administration rule illegally expanding the definition of waters of the United States. This action by the Trump administration restores the regulatory intent that existed prior to the 2015 rule and will end the inconsistent regulatory patchwork that has created uncertainty for landowners, farmers, and businesses. The repeal remedies the legal and procedural deficiencies of the rule, addresses extensive litigation surrounding it, and reinstates the regulatory process that had been in place for years. Next in the multi-step rulemaking process is finalization of a new WOTUS definition proposed by the Trump administration in December of 2018. Both the National Cattlemen's Beef Association and the Kansas Livestock Association fought the 2015 rule in the halls of Congress, in the courts, and directly with EPA. NCBA President Jennifer Houston said cattle producers will sleep a little easier knowing there soon will be more certainty to the WOTUS definition. U.S. Senator Pat Roberts co-sponsored bipartisan legislation to repeal the rule. Last year, he joined Wheeler to unveil the Trump administration's replacement WOTUS rule. More work potentially lies ahead, however, as environmental group leaders already have announced their intent to sue EPA over the repeal.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device. News and views on grains, livestock, policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News, a reliable and relevant source. agview.net.
My name is Aaron with Paragon Ag, and I'm here to talk about the cash grain markets. Corn basis in the Kansas-Missouri area has been holding on surprisingly well, going into what looks to be a pretty good harvest. There has been a little backing off, but not as much as one would expect. Harvest is not completely underway yet, but as it does get going, I would definitely expect basis to get weaker. USDA has harvested 7% complete nationwide, 4% behind the 5-year average. The 10-day forecast is showing good amounts of rain, so it looks like harvest is going to be starting off pretty slow. I would think that this should help support basis for now until things really get moving. Soybeans in the country have been looking pretty good. It seems that we have a strong soybean harvest ahead of us. Bean basis is remaining weak and will continue to get weaker as we get closer to harvest. USDA estimates 34% of beans are dropping their leaves. As usual, we'll be looking at end users and local export markets for opportunities to get beans sold. Wheat basis overall, I don't think is as bad based on historical values in the area. It seems that it has not had much movement for Ord quality wheat from what I've been seeing. There are definitely some good premiums out there for milling quality wheat that everyone who has higher quality wheat should be taking advantage of. The pipeline for wheat into mills has been running full, but as we get into fall harvest and less wheat is available on farm, I would look for basis values to start improving. If you have any other questions or are looking for selling advice, give us a shout at 888-452-8755.
Well, that's our show this week. Be social with us online at KansasAgReport.net. Like us on Facebook, Kansas Ag Report Television Show. Follow us on Twitter at Kansas Ag Report. I'm Ken Rogers. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.